Good evening, students. Welcome to our evening classes of a very interesting subject, and in that an interesting concept, which is the taxable event of this particular law, the GST law, and the taxable event is supply. We started discussing the concept of supply with various aspects of supply. So let us continue that. But before that, I can see a hand raise. So let me first take your question. Yes, beta. Nikunj. Nikunj.
Sorry, sir, it's by mistake.
Acha. Okay. Fine then. So then, okay, Aditi. Yes, Aditi.
Good evening, sir. Sir,
Very good.
actually, I was having one doubt in this
Please.
employer and employee, which you in the previous class you explained. So, like if employee gives service to employer, there is no supply, and if employer gives any kind of service to employee, so there is a supply. But
Correct.
sir, like if there is any kind of a good, like in case of any kind of a good, like for example the employer gives any kind of their employees for any gift for the kind of they appreciate their performance, so that gift is also a supply or not supply.
No, beta. That we will come to that. There is a specific exclusion. When we come to Schedule 1, you will get to know that. So that is why if I have to answer your question straight, any gift given by the employer up to a limit which they have prescribed is regarded as no supply because there is a specific exclusion.
Okay, so there must be a limit, there is a limit for that.
There is a limit, and the limit is similar to your income tax. Do you
Okay,
remember
okay, fine,
income
sir.
tax limit of gift?
No, sir, I have not attended that.
Okay, 50,000 it is, but that we'll study today.
Okay, fine, thank you, sir.
Yes, Josh.
हेलो गुड इवनिंग सर
Good
सर
evening.
जैसे कि अभी अदिति ने बोला कि मतलब हम जो एम्प्लॉय टू एम्प्लॉय शेयर करते हैं कुछ भी सप्लाई करते हैं गुड्स को तो उस पे हम वो उसको हम सप्लाई नहीं मानते बट
मानते
सर इन
हैं ना,
केस
अगर
अगर
एम्प्लॉयर दे रहा है तो सप्लाई मानते हैं, एम्प्लॉय दे रहा है तो सप्लाई नहीं मानते। कौन
ओके
किसको दे
तो
रहा है,
सर
रिपीट
उसका
करिए आप।
सर एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय को दे रहा है
हाँ, तो वो सप्लाई है ना बेटा।
ओके तो सर उसका जो
एम्प्लॉय जब
जीएसटी है वो तो
एम्प्लॉयर
हम
को दे
क्लेम
रहा
कर
है तो वो
सकते हैं
सप्लाई नहीं है बेटा।
एम्प्लॉय जब एम्प्लॉयर को दे रहा है
सी दिस,
अच्छा
हु इज गिविंग टू whom? Firstly it is
एम्प्लॉयर
services, and it no beta,
जी
employee is giving to employer,
अच्छा
जिसपे एम्प्लॉय को क्या मिलता है,
ओके सर
वेजेस, सैलरी।
ओके ओके जी जी गॉट इट सर समझ गया थोड़ा मैं कंफ्यूज हो गया था
कोई बात नहीं बेटा, जब कंफ्यूजन होना तो सबसे पहले जाके लॉ पढ़ो। Whenever you get confused, you first go to law. You need not ask anybody any question. You will get your answer from the law itself. Read the law.
ओके सर सॉरी सर थैंक यू
Yeah. So yes, very good evening to all. Navneet, Ananya, Jash, Lavanya, Divya, Gayatri, Sridhar, Bhavani, Navneet, Dhanalakshmi, Ronak. Yes, Ronak, you are correct. Vaishnavi, Nikunj, Maithili, everyone, very good evening. Okay, there is a request that please make the chat to all enabled. Technical team, please make the chat enabled for everyone, to the students also. Yes, good evening, Prajot. Yes, Amit, I'll explain that. Good evening, Rashmi. Yes, Diksha, good evening. So students, let us start. Yes, Yamuna Shri, good evening. So we'll revise and then we will proceed. I'll revise from this, my own sheet, which will be shared with you once this is complete. So in any taxation law, there are 4 important things which should be present. Only then the tax can survive, only the tax can be valid. First is taxable event. What is taxable event? It is the happening of something, or it is the doing on some of something on which tax will apply. Like in case of sales tax, it is the sales. In case of service tax, it is the provision of service. Correct? Taxable object is that item, that thing, which may be either goods or service or both, on which the tax will apply. So doing something is a taxable event. So selling is taxable event for sales tax. But selling what? Selling goods, selling service, selling building what? So sales tax said selling of goods. So selling became the activity, the taxable event, goods became the taxable object. And then who is the person who is liable to pay tax and at what rate and at what value. All these things you'll study when we study the charging section, section 9 of the CGST SGST Act. Now I explain this also, different acts provide for this in their charging section, and these are the charging section of the present Income Tax Act. It is section 4 of the CNS Act. It is 9, IGST it is 5, Customs it is 12. Now these were the taxable event under the old laws. Now, as we discussed in the previous chapter also, 17 old laws have been subsumed to make one single law, that is GST. Now, 17 old laws had different taxable events. Now, we needed to make one taxable event to cover all those taxable events. So, they decided to use this word supply, which I normally say that supply means sub-pay apply means all these taxable events are covered in this one word supply. But this is only the generic meaning. The technical meaning you get when you study the supply related provisions. Now, importantly, whenever I will be using the word GST law and not act or rules, when I use the word GST law, you should mean that I am referring to all the GST related acts, rules, everything. That is what I will be using in the term GST law. Now for our syllabus, we need to study CGST Act and few sections of the IGST Act. SGST Act is state-wise. So for Maharashtra, it is Maharashtra SGST Act. For Gujarat, it is Gujarat SGST Act. For Andhra Pradesh, it is AP SGST Act and so on. But we need not study the SGST Act. 1. Why? Because it is state act. 2. Because it is replica of CGST Act with minor changes as are necessary. So that is why our syllabus is not specifically covering any SGST Act, but you can always safely assume that it will be similar to what you are studying in the CGST Act. Now coming to IGST Act. Now IGST Act is part of your syllabus, though not completely. But what is important to note that that day last, we saw the IGST Act, CGST Act, everything from the bare act. And you found that IGST Act has very less number of sections. Why? Because it is borrowing all the sections or the majority sections of the CGST Act, and it is borrowing using section 20 powers. So section 20 of the IGST Act says that the various provisions of CGST Act shall apply to the IGST Act. This is how all these provisions get applicable to the IGST Act, and hence they are again not written in the IGST Act. So the topic today that we are discussing, that is supply, is not again written in the IGST Act, but IGST Act borrows the entire supply concept from the CGST Act using the power under section 20 of the IGST Act. Now, when we have to study supply, and most importantly, when we have to apply the supply to any transaction, that is whenever in any practical question, in case study question, you want to first check that whether there is a supply or not. In fact, you should first check whether there is a supply or not. I divide this into 3 parts. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1 is check the negative list. Negative list is the list where those transactions are given which the law says we do not want to tax. So we will call them as not a supply transaction, or it is also called as negative list. So see, these are the terminologies used in our profession. So you should know them, though they are not used in the act. But for simplicity, like even in Income Tax Act, we commonly use the word exemption, but the act never uses the word exemption. Does anybody remember what does the act uses for talking about exemption? We say exemption, but act is not using exemption in income tax. What it is saying? Can anybody tell me? What does the Income Tax Act says for exemptions? No, no. I am asking for exemptions, what is the technical terminology used in the Income Tax Act? No, no, sorry. It is firstly Section 10. I hope you all remember. No, deduction is wrong, beta. In fact, we last did the deduction chapter, and I was on the first day telling you and repeated this again and again that deduction and exemption are different things. No, exempt income is what we use. Act is not using the word exempt income. What is the Act using? The Act uses incomes which do not form part of total income. This is the heading of exemption chapter. In the Act also, in your module also. Incomes which do not form part of total income. Now, for simplicity, we call that whole list as exemptions. Why I am telling you this? Because this is how we always remember laws. We many times do not use the technical language or such lengthy phrases. We use simple words. So here I am using a simple word, no supply, or I am using a simple word, what I can say, negative list, right? But the Act has not used this. What is the Act using? The CGST Act uses the term activities or transactions which shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. See this, the Bare Act. Activities or transaction which shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service, which is given in Schedule 3, we will call it as negative list, or we will call it as no supply transactions. So this is the short form that we have given. Why I am telling you this? Because for all practical usage, you will use the short form. But whenever you are writing anywhere in the paper or when you are on some technical forum, you should use the correct terminology, that is activities or transactions, which shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. Short, no supply transactions. Short, negative list transactions or negative list. Similar to how we do in income tax, we say exemption. But exemption word is not used in Income Tax Act. They say incomes which do not form part of total income. Understood? Clear hai? So we have to also now start remembering the technical terminologies so that whenever we are using it in our answer papers or on some technical forum, we write the correct technical language. Is this clear to all? Perfect. Okay, fine. Let us proceed then. Now, what are my steps? So my steps are, we will first check whether the transaction with which you are dealing is covered in the Schedule 3 list, which we will now call as the negative list, or it is covered in any of the notifications where it is treated as a no supply. So no supply is given in two places, as I have repeated here. We call it as negative list. It is coming through section 2A and 2B of the CGST Act. 2A says refer the list in Schedule 3, which is part of the Act. 2B says refer notification. And in fact, we have some circulars also clarifying that certain things are not to be treated as supply. So step one is first check that your transaction is falling in this list or not. Now, if your answer is no, no means no, my transaction is not falling in the negative list. Then go to step two. Now, what is step two? Step two is now you have to go to the definition of what is included in supply. which is given in section 7.1. It has three parts. A is the general meaning, B and C are the special meaning, C is also special meaning, which is called as deemed supply, given in schedule 1. So now you have to check whether your transaction is fitting in one of these meanings of supply, so whether it is a supply or not. Now your transaction will be treated as supply only if it satisfies the conditions of section 1, either clause A, that is a general meaning, or the remaining clauses. So if the answer is yes, my transaction firstly was not covered in the negative list, and yes, it is falling in one of the definitions, it means finally I conclude my transaction is a supply. But before I proceed to apply the entire act, that is the rate, the value, all the other things, I will have to decide whether the nature of supply is supply of goods or supply of service. So the third step is to determine the nature. This is also called as classification. So you have to classify whether your transaction is to be called as supply of goods or supply of service. Why? Because all the provisions, exemption list, rate list, RCM list, so many things are directly connected with whether it is supply of goods or supply of service, because the provisions are separately given for both. So in such cases, you have to first classify, right? So these are the three steps in which you will apply the concept to every question that you are dealing with, either in exams or even in your professional career. So once you follow these steps and you apply it, you will never be wrong. Now we started with the first step yesterday, that is what is covered in the negative list. For this, we first went to section 7, where in section 7, I gave you the brief overview of the section, and we started with this part of the section. So section 7, this we even studied from the module. So you can study wherever it is comfortable. It is in the module also, but since I cannot mark it, I am explaining it from here. So section 7.1, it firstly deals with what is included in supply, but this is our step 2. So I will come to this later. We started from here, that is step 1. What does step 1 says? Notwithstanding anything which is given in subsection 1. See, whenever any section start with this word notwithstanding, it means it is superior to the other section. And that is why this becomes step 1. So you have to first check step 1 only, because the law also says it is superior. So what it says, either those activities which are mentioned in schedule 3 list or which are given by the government by way of some notification, they shall be treated neither as supply of goods nor as supply of service. In short, they shall be treated as no supply. It means it cannot be taxed under GST, because GST can be taxed only if the transaction is a supply. And these two categories are falling in no supply. So there will be no transaction on which tax will be leviable in these cases. Now, because of this, we have to study two things. One is schedule 3 list and one is the notifications which are given. So we started studying the schedule 3 list and the notification. So this is schedule 3. In schedule 3, what we studied that first, salaries and wages are outside GST. Why? Because the first entry of schedule 3 says services which are given by employee to employer. So whatever services employee will give to the employer, so it is from employee to the employer, is outside GST, because it will be treated as no supply, provided it is done in the course of his employment. So two clarifications here I gave, that where employee is doing anything for the employer in the course of employment, only that is outside GST, which means, one, if employee is running a business, besides his employment, he is having a parallel business, and from that business, he is supplying goods to the employer, that will be fully taxable, because that is not in the course of employment. Second meaning of this is, if employer is giving something to employee, that is also taxable because that is not covered in this category. So only what is covered is, if I have to write it here, employee to employer, and that also in the course of employment. I hope the first part is clear to everyone. Then comes second and third. Second and third are your statutory duties. Statutory duties are the duties which emanates because of any provisions of the constitution, where constitution makes it binding on you to do it. So first, it covers the duties of the courts and tribunals where we go for justice. So when you go to courts and tribunals, you pay some court fee. There is no GST on the court fee because it is a statutory function of the courts and tribunals to give justice. Secondly, where members of parliaments or state legislatures or panchayats, municipalities, they are performing their functions. And again, which functions? Functions which are given to them by the constitution. Secondly, if you are holding any position which is given to you by the constitution, like I gave you example, as an auditor, as a chartered accountant, you audit companies under the Companies Act law, you audit as per the income tax law. All these are your professional duties. They are liable to GST. But if you are nominated as CNAG, you get a position which is by the constitution. So constitution has created the position of CNAG. So when you are appointed as CNAG, you stand in the capacity of a constitutional post, and then whatever you do as CNAG, again you are going to do audit only, but that will be outside GST. Similarly, duties which are performed by chairpersons, members, directors, again all these are in the course of their statutory functions, and whatever is in the course of statutory functions outside GST. Fourth, if a person expires, one is you carry out some rituals, which is one of these. Also, you have to keep the body preserved if you need to keep it for some time before you carry out the rituals, and you need to transport the body. All these activities have been kept outside GST. Fifth, land. Whenever you are selling land, that is outside GST, and whenever you are selling building, but which building? Only completed. If it is under construction building, it is liable to GST, right? Samiran is saying, sir, please elaborate with example, employee supply goods. But I am explained it twice. You are an employee. You are working in my company. Let us say I'm Google. So that is your employee service. Now you are parallelly running a stationery shop from where all the printing paper, all the printer ink is supplied by your that business to me. So Google is purchasing all these stationery items from your shop. Now you are giving two types of supplies to Google. One is your labor, your service as the employee of Google. Two, as a businessman, you are supplying goods to Google from your business. Now, this Schedule 3 covers only the first part because it clearly says whatever is done by you in relation to employment. That is only covered under Schedule 3. That is only outside GST. Ananya says, sir, if employer is self-employed. But an employer is always self-employed. No? Employer is never your employee. Employer is not your employee. No? I did not get this point. If employer is self-employed. But as employer is self-employed. No? Employer is doing business. So the person is self-employed. No? Raunak asking, sir, in case of under construction building, if you are booking any shop, office, flat in under construction, GST is applicable. Diksha, but a gift, I will answer. Somebody had asked at the start. I already mentioned that for gifts, we are going to study something today. But firstly, still you are asking, I'm replying. Wherever employer gives gifts to employees, there is a limit given of 50,000. Up to 50,000, there is no GST. Correct, beta? Diksha? But I had mentioned this at the start when somebody asked me. Please be attentive, students. See, I don't mind answering the same query again, but it unnecessarily wastes the time of others because for others it is unnecessary repetition. So whenever anybody is asking a question and whenever I am explaining anything, it is of utmost importance that you pay attention. Next, sale of land and building covered under IT Act in capital gain chapter. Siddhan, so what is your question? You have put question mark, but it appears as a sentence. So what do you mean to say from this? See, I repeat one thing. I have mentioned this multiple times. Same transaction may be taxed under income tax, may be taxed under customs, may be taxed under GST. So same transaction may be taxed under three different laws and it is okay. Somebody had asked me in the previous class that, sir, on import of goods, there is GST also and customs also. Is it correct? It is correct. Because you are satisfying the charging section of two laws. Similarly, when you are selling your land or building, you are also covered under Income Tax Act if you are earning income out of it. So it will be taxed. Siddhan, so what is your question in that? Please mention your question. I did not get the meaning of question mark that you have put. It is a sentence for which you have put question mark. If you are simply asking if it is taxable, answer is yes. If you earn income from any method, it is taxable under income tax. Ananya, sir, if employer is working on a specific post like manager in his own business, Ananya, please explain. How is this possible? And I think you have studied in 11th standard accounts that if the owner is working in his own business and drawing salary, is it considered as an expense, Ananya? You getting salary from your own business, is it considered as an expense? Is it a transaction firstly? Okay, Akila, sir, in supply, they may be partly goods. Yes, correct. That we will study better. When it is partly goods, partly service, then we have a separate concept called as composite supply, mixed supply. That will cover in the third session better. That will cover, but it is a good point, but that will be covered later. Ronak, sir, in case of under construction building, GST is applicable better. Ananya, the answer is if you are working in your own business, it is not considered as a separate income, separate transaction. I hope you remember this. Even in accounts, we do not treat it as an item which is debited to P&L. I think this was in 11th standard account we had studied. Correct, beta? So when it is not a transaction, there is no question of there being tax. Right? Okay. Sir, how to write answer in exam regarding section and schedule? Okay, that I'll tell you, beta. Let me first explain, but remember one thing. How I am explaining, how I'm writing, like I say, section 7 read with schedule 3. In fact, this is how you have to write. I'm just writing plus because I'm making it short. You have to write it in language as section 7.2 read with schedule 3. I'm writing 7.2 plus schedule 3, right? While writing, you say in language, it says section 7.2 read with schedule 3. Yes, Aditi. Aditi, you have raised your hand, beta.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, in the study material, it is written that in the sale of land thing, it is written that the entire consideration for sale of building is received after issuance of completion certificate or after its first occupation, whichever is earlier. So, sir, what does this year consideration means? And also one more thing, that what is this completion certificate and after its first occupation, whichever is earlier?
So, beta, that is what I am explaining. Now, see what I have written here. Can you read this? What is
Yeah,
this?
complete.
What is
No,
it?
I got that point that the building should be completed and ready. But here, the consideration word is given and also the after its first occupation. So I didn't get those words.
Which part you read that, beta?
So in the study material, it is given.
Agreed, beta. Study material, which part I'm asking?
So in the fifth point.
This point, na, what we are reading here.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So, see, actually, the law which is in front of you, it says sale of land subject to clause B, para 5, correct? And then it is
Yes,
again
sir.
writing sale of building. So, what you are saying, we are going to cover that study schedule 2, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, for simplicity, I have written completed building. Now, how you understand whether building is complete or it is under construction? It is by that method which you read, which is completion certificate, right? But that
Yes, sir.
point, understand in detail when we come to that part of our discussion, which is schedule 2, because that is actually covered in schedule 2. Schedule 3 is only writing this much. What is there in front of your screen? What? Sale of land subject to clause B, para 5 of schedule 2, sale of building. So what is this
Okay.
para
And
5? That is what we will study when we come to schedule 2. Understood, beta?
so, what does this consideration word means over here?
Consideration, consideration, consideration,
Yes, sir.
consideration, contract
The
act,
payment which
consideration,
we do,
consideration, beta. It is a
it is
generic
the
word. Contract
it
act.
is the payment or the,
Whatever you receive in return, that is consideration.
okay, fine.
Simple, na? So consideration is against the sale of building, what you will pay to the builder, that is your consideration.
Okay, sir.
Right now, we have studied this in contract act. Na? Consideration we studied for the first time in contract act, right? You remember or not consideration? Yes, beta? Yes. Ankita, beta, once a building is completed, whether it is residence, whether it is business, you are correct. No GST is applicable. So after the building is completed, if you purchase that shop, office, flat, whether for personal use or for business use, you are right. No GST is applicable. Fine. Let us proceed. Now it is entry 6 or para 6. It says that actionable claims are not to be taxed. However, only few actionable claims will be taxed, which is termed as specified actionable claim. Then we went to both the definitions of actionable claim and specified actionable claim. What is specified actionable claim? They have given a list: betting, gambling, lottery, casino, online money gaming. All these are the specified actionable claims which are not covered in Schedule 3, which are taxed. But other than these specified actionable claim, remaining actionable claims are covered in Schedule 3, so they are not taxed. Then we also discuss what is actionable claim. So for that, you have to refer to the definition under the TOPA. TOPA is Transfer of Properties Act, where it says that actionable claim means a claim that is wherever you have some amount outstanding which you are demanding from some another person, and for that you are not having any security, so your claim is unsecured. So whenever your claim is unsecured, so there is no movable or immovable property given to you as security, and you claim that amount from a person, that claim is called as actionable claim. Now, when it will be called as actionable? When there is any legal action possible. So wherever the courts are allowing you to file a case against that person, it means that claim is actionable. You can take legal action. So examples of this are debtors, bills receivable, lottery amount, betting amount. All these are examples of actionable claims, and these are not taxed under GST. Correct? Ankita is asking, sir, if a person engaged in the business of purchasing a building, a lower rate, then sell it at a higher rate, will GST be applicable? Ankita, please understand one thing. GST has nothing to do with whether you are purchasing at lower rate, selling at higher rate. GST has to do with supply. If your transaction is fitting in supply, even if you do vice versa, means what? You purchase at high price, sell at low price. Still you have to pay GST. Yes, rightly pointed out by Rashmi. It is nothing to do with your profit or loss. So whether you earn profit or whether you incur loss, once your transaction of sale is fitting in the definition of supply, there is GST. Is this clear, beta? Yes, Harshal.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
Good evening. Tell me.
सर अभी जो आपने बोला कि अगर आपने बाय किया है तब परचेज कंसिडरेशन प्राइस न्यू बाय किया और सेकंड हैंड में सोल्ड कर रहे हो गुड्स. फॉर एग्जांपल फोन मैंने बाय किया था 10,000 में और मैंने 2,000 में सोल्ड किया, फिर भी मुझे जीएसटी लगेगा क्या सर? इफ आई एम सेल टू ओल्ड फोन.
हमें जीएसटी लगेगा या नहीं ये कैसे पता चलेगा? हमें उसके लिए सप्लाई समझना है, करेक्ट?
यस सर.
क्योंकि अगर आपने जो किया वो सप्लाई है तो जीएसटी लगेगा, करेक्ट?
या सर. यस.
अब ये समझने के लिए हमारे पास 3 स्टेप्स है, जिसमें स्टेप 1 और 2 में आपको पता चल जाएगा कि वो सप्लाई है या नहीं. स्टेप 3 में तो आपको सिर्फ पता चलेगा वो कौन सा सप्लाई है, वो बात की बात है. अभी हमने स्टेप 1 पढ़ा. स्टेप 1 में आपको क्या चेक करना है कि क्या आपका ट्रांजेक्शन इस शेड्यूल 3 वाले लिस्ट में है क्या. तो आपने जो ओल्ड फोन सेल किया है ये हमारे शेड्यूल 3 के लिस्ट में है क्या?
ओल्ड फोन सेल किया. हाँ. यस सर.
कहाँ पे, कौन से पॉइंट में शेड्यूल 3 में?
शेड्यूल 3 में.
ये शेड्यूल 3 के लिस्ट में है क्या सेल ऑफ ओल्ड फोन?
नहीं सर.
नहीं है ना?
नहीं है. नहीं.
तो आपने अभी पहला स्टेप क्रॉस किया. पहला स्टेप क्या था? चेक करो कि क्या आपका ट्रांजैक्शन शेड्यूल 3 में आता है क्या, यानी वो नो सप्लाई है क्या. आपको क्या जवाब मिला कि मेरा ट्रांजैक्शन नो सप्लाई नहीं है, करेक्ट?
नो.
अभी इसका लास्ट क्या था?
सेकंड स्टेप.
क्या है सेकंड स्टेप?
सेकंड इज शोइंग नॉट विथ मतलब नॉट विथ स्टैंडिंग, मतलब नो नहीं आएगा ऐसा सेकंड.
बेटा मैंने पूछा सेकंड स्टेप क्या है. आप मुझे सबसेक्शन 2 पढ़ के बता रहे हो मॉड्यूल में से. मैं पूछ रहा हूँ मुझे सेकंड स्टेप बताओ. हम स्टेप वाइज जा रहे हैं. पहला स्टेप क्या था? अगर आपको जानना है कि आपका ट्रांजैक्शन सप्लाई है या नहीं है, पहला स्टेप क्या है? शेड्यूल 3 का लिस्ट चेक करो, वो उस लिस्ट में आता है क्या?
हाँ. उसमें नहीं आता है. फर्स्ट
नहीं
स्टेप होगा.
यानी आपका स्टेप 1 क्रॉस हो गया.
हाँ.
अब अगर वो शेड्यूल 3 के लिस्ट में नहीं आता है, यानी स्टेप 1 आपने क्रॉस कर लिया, तो स्टेप 2 में आपको क्या करने को बोला है मैंने?
मुझे सेल डिफाइन करना है, मतलब सेक्शन 7A 1 में.
7.1 में जाके चेक करना है कि क्या ये सप्लाई के डेफिनेशन में फॉलो करता है, करेक्ट?
हाँ. डिफाइन होता है कि नहीं सप्लाई से.
बराबर. अगर उसका आंसर यस आया, मतलब आपको क्या कंक्लूजन मिलेगा कि यस आपका ट्रांजैक्शन सप्लाई है, करेक्ट?
अंडर सप्लाई आता है ऐसा.
करेक्ट ना? आप समझ रहे हो ना मेरी बात?
यस सर. सेकंड स्टेप अंडरस्टैंड. थर्ड स्टेप
बराबर. तो अभी जब हम सेकंड स्टेप पढ़ लेंगे, उसके बाद आपके ही क्वेश्चन का आंसर मैं आपसे पूछूंगा, चलेगा?
यस
आपने
सर.
मुझे फर्स्ट स्टेप के हिसाब से तो आंसर बता दिया. आपका आंसर परफेक्ट है कि वो स्टेप 1 में नहीं आ रहा है, वो नेगेटिव लिस्ट में नहीं आ रहा है.
यस सर. नो. स्टेप फर्स्ट में नहीं आएगा ऐसा.
राइट. तो स्टेप 1 तो आपने क्लियर कर लिया. अब स्टेप 2 के लिए हम जब स्टेप 2 पढ़ेंगे तो मैं आपसे ही कहूंगा कि क्या स्टेप 2 सेटिस्फाई हुआ, और आप ही मुझे बता पाओगे कि यस सर ये हुआ या नहीं हुआ, यानी अपने को आंसर पता चल जाएगा आपके क्वेश्चन का.
यस सर.
ठीक है ना बेटा? तो स्टेप 2 होने दो, फिर अपन आपके ही क्वेश्चन को समझ लेंगे. वी विल फाइंड द आंसर.
यस सर. फाइन सर.
परफेक्ट बेटा.
परफेक्ट.
सुपर. Rashmi is asking, sir, if business of sale building as like real estate, then GST applicable. रश्मि बेटा वापस, आप जो लोग भी मुझसे सवाल पूछ रहे हो कि ये चीज सप्लाई है क्या, ये चीज पे जीएसटी लगेगा क्या, अब मैंने आपको उसका फॉर्मूला दे दिया है. स्टेप 1, स्टेप 2, स्टेप 3. रश्मि, नाउ यू और योर क्वेश्चन is कि यू आर इन द बिजनेस ऑफ रियल एस्टेट, आप बिल्डिंग बेचने का, बना के बेचने का बिजनेस कर रहे हो, सो यू आर अ बिल्डर, परफेक्ट। नाउ सेम योर क्वेश्चन, आपके सबके अब जो भी क्वेश्चन होंगे ना कि क्या इस पे जीएसटी लगेगा, जीएसटी लगेगा तो उसके लिए हमको पहले सप्लाई चेक करना है, और सप्लाई चेक करने के लिए 3 स्टेप्स फॉलो करने हैं। तो मेरा सिंपल आंसर है रश्मि आपको भी, जो मैंने अभी इसको एक्सप्लेन किया कि फॉलो द स्टेप्स। आप रियल एस्टेट बिजनेस में हो, फाइन। पहला स्टेप क्या है कि आपने जो बिल्डिंग बेची, वेदर योर सेल ऑफ बिल्डिंग इज कवर्ड इन शेड्यूल 3, आंसर मी Rashmi, whether your sale of building is covered in Schedule 3. So अगर आपका सेल ऑफ बिल्डिंग शेड्यूल 3 में, तो आपको आंसर मिल गया, इट इज नो सप्लाई, खत्म, फुल स्टॉप, आप जीएसटी के बाहर हो। करेक्ट, समझ में आई ये बात? बट आपका आंसर इनकम्प्लीट है, क्यों? क्योंकि सारे सेल ऑफ बिल्डिंग शेड्यूल 3 में नहीं है, ओनली द कंप्लीटेड बिल्डिंग सेल आर अंडर शेड्यूल 3। अगर आप क्योंकि बिल्डर हो, आप रियल एस्टेट बिजनेस में हो, आप जब बिल्डिंग बनाना शुरू करते हो, इट मे टेक 2 to 5 years फॉर कंप्लीटिंग द बिल्डिंग। In between, there will be many customers who will come and book the flats or shops or offices in your building. If you book their flats and shops while your building is under construction, then you will not fit in Schedule 3. Correct? ना रश्मि? सो अब आप लोगों को मैंने एक फॉर्मूला दिया है, एक प्रोसीजर दिया है। आपका जो भी सवाल आता है कि सर इस पे जीएसटी लगेगा क्या, वेदर दिस इज सप्लाई, प्लीज फॉलो द स्टेप्स। स्टेप 1, यू नाउ नो दैट दिस इज शेड्यूल 3 लिस्ट। चेक कर लो आपका जो भी क्वेश्चन है वो शेड्यूल 3 के लिस्ट में आता है क्या। शेड्यूल 3 के लिस्ट के बाद यू हैव टू ऑल्सो चेक द नोटिफिकेशन, जो हमने लास्ट पढ़ा था कि क्या आपका ट्रांजैक्शन इनमें से किसी नोटिफिकेशन वाले आइटम में आता है क्या। अगर इन सब में वो नहीं आता है, सो स्टेप 1 इज क्रॉस्ड, योर केस इज नॉट इन द नेगेटिव लिस्ट। अब वो सप्लाई कब होगा, उसके लिए स्टेप 2 जो अभी हम पढ़ेंगे, यू हैव टू चेक वेदर इट इज सेटिस्फाइंग द डेफिनेशन ऑफ सप्लाई। After step 1 and step 2, you will get the first answer that yes, my transaction is a supply or it is not a supply. Am I clear, students? Okay. I'll just stop my sharing and reshare because there is some lagging for some reason. I don't know why. Allow me a minute. I will have to, I think, log out and re-log in because unnecessarily there is a lot of lagging. Okay, maybe now it should be fine. Let me check. Okay, it appears to be fine now. There is no lagging now. No, there's still lagging here. Okay. Chalo. So now we are in the negative list. 7, 8 are not part of your syllabus, so I'm not dealing with them. 9 and 10. What is 9 and 10 dealing with? See, both are dealing with insurance. Please understand, I have got an insurance policy. I am the insurance company. Now, a client comes to me. He wants to take a 1,000 crore policy. Now, I know that individually, I cannot take such a big policy because it will be a big risk that if tomorrow something happens to this person, I will have to pay 1,000 crore, which is beyond my capacity. So I involve other insurance companies. Let me call them as companies A and B. So now there are total 3 insurance companies who are part of this single policy. We are called as joint insurers. Or these people who have joined me, they are called as co-insurers. Correct? Now, please understand, for taking this insurance of 1,000 crore, I have charged rupees 100 crore as the premium on which GST is applicable, because insurance is a service, and when you give the service, what consideration you receive is the premium, and that premium is liable to GST. Now pay attention. I receive this premium first because I am the lead insurer. So these people are called as co-insurer. I am called as the lead or the simple words main insurer. Now, when I get this 100 rupees premium, since these two people are going to jointly share the risk with me, I have to share some premium with them. Now, first, when I collect this 100 crore premium, there will be GST on this, subject to one condition, that this is not an individual policy. This is taken as a business policy. Why I'm saying this? Because from 22nd of September 2025, we have exempted GST on personal life insurance policy. But if it is for business, if the business is taking life insurance policy for their directors, for their owners, etc., that is taxable. So we are assuming this is that policy which is taxable. Now, when I get premium of 100 crores, I will charge GST and I will pay the GST. But when I share this 100 crores with these people, let us say 30 crore with him and 30 crore with him, then point number 9 says on this 30 crores, which now I am dividing with them, there should be no GST because already GST is paid on 100 crores. This is point number 9. What is point number 10? In this same insurance case, whenever there is any insurance policy, like in this case, 1,000 crore policy where premium is 100, there is some commission to be paid because some agent has bought me this policy. So I will be paying that commission. Now, interestingly, again, firstly, the commission is on 100 crores. Let us assume it is 10 crores. Again, on this commission, there will be GST. But this commission again has to be divided between agents of A and B. So firstly, my agent will get 10 crores of commission on which GST will be applicable. And again, my agent will be dividing the commission between the agents of A and B because they are also insuring this policy. So again, whatever commission my agent will divide between them will not be liable to GST. This is point number 10. Correct? Diksha, sir, if there is case study regarding the example we are discussing here, we need to write all these steps. Yes, beta. Follow these steps, write these steps in exams. You will get full marks. That is why I'm giving you these steps. Follow these steps. Correct? Sir Satish here. As I have asked last, need your advice on planning and execution. I'm working full time, but I had given you my number last time and I'd asked you to call me. I'd given you my number. You can call me tomorrow throughout the day. I'll guide you how to study since you are working. Vedant Tiwari, sir, from where I can download this PDF? See, Vedant, last lecture I had informed that you can do this by going to the ICAI's website. You download the module and automatically you will get this schedule 3. Couldn't just wait. There is some light issue at my end. Okay. Yes. Yes, Satish. If it is personal insurance premium, now GST has been made exempt on personal insurance premium. Other than that, GST is applicable. Fine. Divya says, sir, you have not provided with chapter 1 notes. Lead insurer means we took insurance. First insurance company is called lead insurers. Correct. The first insurance company who got this client is the lead insurer. See, everybody, students, there is going to be a separate session on guiding you how to study, because if any of you is already working somewhere, we will have a separate session on study planning and study guide. So please don't worry for that. Maithili beta, there is no eligibility criteria for lead insurer. Lead insurer is the insurer to whom the client has come first. So the person to whom the client comes is called as lead insurer. That's it. There is no criteria. There is no rules for that. It is a terminology that we have created just to identify that, okay, this is the person to whom the client has come first. Manisha beta, have patience. Let us proceed with the syllabus. We always have a session on how to plan, but we have just started with the chapter. Let us proceed, maybe 1 or 2 sessions, and we'll take it, right? Ronak, what are you asking, sir? What is point number 9 and 10? What I was explaining till now is 9 and 10 only, beta. Insurance example is 9 and 10 only, beta. We have been discussing 9 and 10 for last 10 minutes. Yes, Aditi.
So if business takes insurance for his employees or for any other business related thing, so that in today's scenario, it will be their GST will be applicable on that, no?
Yes, only personal insurances have been made exempt.
Okay.
Fine. So now we have completed our step 1. So what is step 1? Step 1 is your case falls in the negative list. And if it is falling in the negative list, it is no supply. Now we come to the second part, which is a very important part, that whenever you want to understand whether your transaction is liable to GST or not, you have to go to the definition. And this definition is given under section 7 bracket 1 under various clauses. So let me take you to section 7 bracket 1. I'll open in the module also, and I'll also open the Bear Act. Both are same only. The only difference is I can write in the Bear Act. Yes. So now this is section 7.1, which defines supply. I'm opening the same thing in the Bear Act so that I can easily write something wherever I want. Now, pay attention, students. Section 7, which defines supply. I again repeat, 7.1 is the definition of supply, that is what is included in supply. 7.2 is the negative list, that is what is excluded, that is what is not in supply. And then 7.1a is about classification, and 7.3 is also about classification, that is whether your supply is supply of goods or supply of service. I hope this is clear. So supply definition made up of 3 parts, and this is my step 1 to first check whether it is excluded, because if it is excluded, no need to read the definition and check the definition. But if it is not included, now we come to step 2 to check when will my transaction be called as supply? It will be called as supply if it is included either in clause A, double A, B or C. Okay? Now we come to the most important part of supply, that is the general meaning. 95% of the transactions which are supply, they are supply because of clause A only. Now here many of your examples will be covered. In fact, now after reading clause A, you will get the answer of your all questions, whether your transaction is liable to GST or not. Now what does 7(1)(a) says? It says that the expression supply includes, so these are the things which will be called as supply. It says all forms of supply. Now when I say all forms, what it means they have explained, such as. So what all things are supply? All these transactions are supply. So you can read all forms as following transactions. What transactions? Sale, transfer, barter, exchange, giving on license, giving on rent, giving under lease, or giving away. All these are the different forms of supply, or these are the different transactions. Now this you should do of what? You should sell what? You should sell goods. What you should transfer? You should transfer goods. What you should do barter or exchange? You should do goods. What you should give on license or rental? You should do of goods. Similarly, it could be also of service. So what you are selling, what you are transferring, what you are exchanging, what you are giving under license, it can be service. Or it can be combined, both partly goods, partly service. Importantly, what is important to note here is in this 7(1)(a), the first requirement is there is some transaction. That transaction is of goods or service. And then the other requirement is this transaction is done for some consideration. And last is it should be done in the course of your business. So these are the 4 requirements that comes out from this definition. So now we are in step 2. What is step 2? What is included or covered under supply? Now in this, we first have the general meaning. And as I said, 95% of transactions are supply by this general meaning only. This is in clause A. Now what are the requirements of clause A? First requirement is you should have done some transaction. This transaction should be of goods or of services or combined. Now, what type of transactions you should do? You should sell, you should barter, or you should exchange, or you should give on lease or license or rent. So any of the transaction you should have done. This transaction should be done of something which is either goods or service, and it should be done for a consideration. So you are charging something in return for this, and it should be done in course or furtherance of business. In short, it should be your business transaction. Now, when all these 4 conditions are satisfied, so what? You have done some transaction. The transaction can be sale, barter, exchange, relinquishment, whatever. What you have sold, what you have exchanged, what you have given on license, it should be either goods or service or combined both. Third, you should have done this transaction of sale for some consideration. You should have done this exchange for some consideration. You should have given on lease for some consideration. And fourth, this should be part of your business. When all these 4 conditions are satisfied, your transaction will be covered under supply as per the general meaning. And again, I repeat, all the transactions today which are covered under GST as supply, 95% of them are because of clause A only. Because the remaining clauses are special cases, exceptional cases. The regular cases are these only. Is this clear to all? Now you can check your transactions and let me know whether your transactions are supply or not. So I go back to the earlier questions. Somebody asked me if I'm selling my mobile phone. Now I take that example. So you purchase a mobile phone from market. You have used it for some time. Now you want a better mobile phone. So you decide to sell this. Now this may apply to mobile phone. This may apply to your laptop. This may apply to your vehicle. Now you are selling this, whether this is a supply. First check, is it falling in schedule 3? Negative list, no. So it is not in step 1. Very good. Now we are in step 2. Now check whether your transaction fits in clause A. If yes, it is supply, you get your answer. Chalo, now whatever questions you had about whether GST is applicable on this, whether it is supply, check it. So Harshal, I think it was your question. So I hope you got the answer. So whether your transaction, Harshal, is a supply or not. Harshal, you have sold your phone, you have sold your laptop, you have sold your motor car, whether your transaction is a supply. Harshal, I'm waiting for your answer, beta. Others have given some answer for your transaction. I'm waiting for your answer. You have written, sir, what I understand from this. I want to only know whether your transaction is supply, yes or no. That's it. You're saying yes. Are you satisfying all the 4 conditions? Bhavani, sale of phone is goods, correct, but that is one of the conditions. I want all the 4 conditions satisfied. Harshal, are all the 4 conditions satisfied? Is selling phone your business, Harshal? The phone that you have sold, is it your business? Harsh, how come it is supply? Is it your business? Harshal, how can it be your business? I don't understand this. You purchase a phone for your use, and now after using it for some time, you are selling it. Is it your business? Please understand, it is a very simple point. Exactly. Correctly answered by so many. It is not a supply because you are not in the business. Is it your business to sell phones? If it is not your business to sell phones, or if it is not part of your business, there is no supply. It has to be connected to your business. Now I'll tell you when it will be connected to your business. Please pay attention, everyone. One, either you are in the business of supplying phones, like there are people who are called as dealers or mobile phone dealers. So when you go to their shop or you order online from their business places or shops, they are the one who are in the business of supplying phones. First. Second example is very important. Pay attention. Second is you have purchased the phone for using it in the business. So it is your business asset. The phone, the laptop is purchased for being used in your business. Like my laptop is used or purchased for my business, my profession. Now, after using it for 2 years, I decide to sell it so that I can buy a better version laptop. This is also in the course of business. See, they have used the term in the course or furtherance of business. So one, either I should be dealing in those goods, services, then it is in the course of my business, or two, those goods are part of my business assets. In both these cases, when I will sell that particular phone or laptop or motor car, it will be in the course of business. Fourth condition is satisfied. Students, have you understood this point? Veerashri, beta, in barter, how there is no consideration received? What is barter, Veerashri? You give phone, in exchange, the person, let us say, is selling you handkerchief. So you give you phone, or the person is giving handkerchief. Is it not a consideration? Divya, it is not necessary that you should be in the business of selling old phones. Point is what? See, there are two things which will be covered in the fourth condition. One, you are the dealer in phones. Once you are a dealer, it may be new phone, it may be second-hand phone, makes no difference. A dealer is a dealer. Second, the phone is your business property. That is, you had purchased the phone, the laptop, the car in the name of your business. You were using it in your business. After the use is over or after it has become old, now your business is selling it. In such case also, it is satisfying the fourth condition. Students, so I hope you all are understanding what is the fourth condition. See, one by one. First, whether sale has happened? Yes. Is the mobile phone goods? Yes. Did you receive some consideration? Yes. Main point is it in the course or furtherance of business? So I am explaining what is this. There are two ways how it can be in the course or furtherance of business. Either you are a dealer or it is your business property or business asset. Correct? Divya, sir, if the sale of second-hand phone, laptops, and other electronic is in the course of business. Exactly, beta. So that is what is the fourth condition. But what do you mean by in the course of business? Josh, sir, if I'm government contractor and having a JCB in my asset, which is on loan and selling it to another person. Yes. So when you have taken JCB, it is used in your business for doing your business. Tomorrow you sell that JCB, you have to pay GST. It is in the course or furtherance of business. See, they are not saying you should be dealer of JCB only. The language used in the law is in the course of business, which means either you are dealer of JCB or JCB is used in your business as an asset. In both cases, sale of JCB will be liable to GST. Clause A is satisfied. Students, are you getting this? Veerashri, I hope your doubt relating to barter, no consideration is clear. Chalo. Now, anybody, any further questions, any further examples where you want to understand whether it is business or not? Simply apply these four conditions. Is there any transaction, sale, barter, etc.? Second, is it of good service? Third, is it for a consideration? Fourth, is it part of your business? That's it. Now, Sridhar is asking, sir, is the business of immovable property, sale of immovable property, GST is applicable? Chalo, I want everyone to answer Sridhar's question. So I am a real estate dealer. I have land parcels. I have various flats and shops. And I'm dealer of immovable property. My business is selling immovable property. When I sell these flats and shops or land, whether GST is applicable? This is Sridhar's question. I want everyone to answer this. Akhila, if you have answered my question as GST is applicable, can you please explain? Harshal, Yamuna Shri, you all have said yes. Can you explain why yes? You all are forgetting one thing. We have a step one. Step one is check schedule 3, check the negative list. If the transaction is covered in negative list, you will not check definition. First check negative list. I am in the business of selling properties, correct? But if I'm checking schedule 3, that is my step 1, you will find that completed building and sale of land is covered in schedule 3. The moment it is covered in schedule 3, why you are coming to definition? Definition is step 2. Don't come to definition. You are out of GST in step 1 itself. Is this clear to all? So the answer to this question is, since you are in negative list, it is out of GST as per my step 1. You need not only, see, don't only check step 2. Step 2 is second. First check step 1. Correct? Okay. Aditi, I hope you understood now. You said you didn't get the question. I hope you understood now. Yes, Azhar. If the building was sold under construction, then only GST is applicable. Very good. So now you all are understanding. Very good. Yes, Aditi. So if you have purchased laptop, like how I have purchased laptop for my profession, it is appearing as one of my assets in my business balance sheet. Tomorrow, when I sell this second hand, it is liable to GST. One, step one, is it fitting anywhere in schedule 3? No. Step 1 satisfied. Step 2, is it fitting in the definition of supply, which requires 4 conditions? Is there a sale? Is it goods? Is it for a consideration? And is it part of my business? Yes. So answer is for sale, selling my old laptop, used laptop, which is my business asset, GST is applicable. But the same thing when we apply from your side, you all are not yet into any business or profession, but you all also have purchased a laptop for your study. Tomorrow, when you sell this laptop, it will not be liable to GST. Why? Same, follow step 1. Is it in schedule 3? No. Come to step 2, apply the definition. Definition 7(1)(a) has 4 conditions. Your fourth condition is not satisfied. Why? Because you are using the laptop for personal use. So now when you sell this laptop, which is for personal use, there will be no GST in your case. But in my case, since I am using it for my business or profession use, there is GST. Understood, beta, everyone? Is this clear to everyone? Super. But see, Bhavani, beta, you are asking that if laptop is for business purpose, you sell it, you are not paying GST. So firstly, I did not get the last part. So this is any effect in my GST account. So I did not get the meaning of this. But remember one thing, once you are liable to any tax, whether it is GST, customs, income tax, you have to pay it, which is the law. If you don't pay it, you become a tax evader. Then the law officers, whenever they identify you, like the income tax officer or GST officer, they will make you pay the amount with interest and penalty. So you are not showing, that is offense. So what is taxable, and if you are not showing, then what you are doing is unlawful. Tomorrow, whenever they will identify, you will be liable to pay the tax along with interest and penalty. So it is compulsory that you show everything in your returns correctly, which is the responsibility. Yes, Harshal. Fine, students. Should we proceed? Now, A is the general meaning. which will cover 95% of the supply cases. Then we have two special meanings. These are special means, these are applicable only to 1 cases for which they are made. Just what did you write? I did not understand. It will be considered in books, but when it is finished in books with corresponding depreciation, then no need. Bapre, I did not get this. Yes, Pavan, both parties pay GST under barter if both parties satisfy the four conditions. Now something important, students. Now in this A, that is our four conditions, we also have definition of all these items. What? Good, service, consideration, business. So let us go to now the definitions of all these items. What is goods, what is service, what is consideration, etc. This I'll take from your module only so that it will be convenient for you to see. The only problem is I will not be able to write it here. So please pay attention. Now, in order that anything is liable to GST as per 7(1)(a), you have to satisfy the four conditions, and in the four conditions the requirement is that there should be a transaction like sale, barter, etc., and the transaction should be of goods or service or both. Now the question is, what is goods, what is service? So there is a proper definition. I'll just show you the definition from the Bare Act, but here they have very beautifully given the definition. So I'll show you the definition from the Bare Act also. You'll get these definitions at the start of your chapter. Now, what is the requirement? It should be goods or service. How is goods defined? See, goods is defined like this. Goods means it should be a movable property. So whatever is immovable is not goods. So in order to tax, there should be goods or service. And what is goods? Goods means only movable properties. Now what is important is it is saying, however, some movable properties will be excluded. So what is not goods? Money and securities are not goods. But it says actionable claim is goods, and growing crops, grass, things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before supply, all these are goods. Now what is important to be noted is, all this is clarificatory part. What is main part is, in order to be goods, it should be movable, but it should not be money or securities. Now I come back to your module because module has given this beautifully. So theoretically it has given at the start of this chapter, but very beautifully it is given over here. See how they have explained you goods in pictorial form. So what they are saying, goods means every kind of movable property. What is movable? See here pictorially they have shown. Whatever can be shifted from one place to another, whatever can be moved from one place to another, whatever can be taken from one place to another is movable. But then it says it excludes money and securities. So money and securities may be movable, but it is excluded from the definition of goods. And then it says, but we will include actionable claim, we will include growing crops, etc. Actionable claim definition we already saw. Now what new we'll have to see is the definition of money and security. Because goods, in fact, later on we'll study service. Service also excludes money and security. So the definition of money and security becomes important. What is money? Because money is excluded from goods and service. So indirectly, money is excluded from GST. Means what? If you are selling money, there is no GST on sale of money. Right? Now, interesting definition. Please pay attention. What is money? What will be treated as money, and hence if you are selling that, there will be no GST. Samiran Bada, my request is please don't ask me questions which are of further chapters. You may be knowing GST, so you're asking the question which is very advanced. But if I start answering those advanced questions now, it will create a lot of confusion for other students. So my request is you may keep this question pending. We will definitely take all these questions when the respective chapter and the concept comes, right? Or you ask me at the end when I have completed the topic, because if I take such questions which are of later topics right now and my this is shifted, it will be very difficult for students who are studying GST for the first time to understand things. So let me go in the flow of the chapter. Definitely you want, I'll answer you at the end once I say that, okay, my topic is over. At that time, you post me this question, I'll answer your question better. Now, remember one thing, if you sell money, if you give money on rent, etc., there should be no GST because money is neither goods nor service. However, we'll see some exception. But firstly, what is money? So money means legal tender, which may be Indian legal tender or even foreign legal tender. So what is a legal tender? Legal tender is your currency, which is accepted as a legal form of money. So, like we have all the currency notes starting from rupee 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500, 2000 is now anyways discontinued. And we have the coins. So all these are Indian legal tender. And similarly, every country has its own currency. So that is the foreign currency. So what is money? Firstly, it is the legal currency. Then it covers the different types of negotiable instruments, which I'm sure you all would have studied. So what are these negotiable instruments? Checks, promissory notes, bills of exchange, letter of credit, drafts, pay orders, traveler's checks, money order, postal, electronic remittances, or any other instrument which is recognized by the RBI as a consideration to settle an obligation. So these, whatever are used, now this is according to me the main part. So when you used anything as a consideration to settle your obligation and it is recognized by RBI as a medium of payment, like money, like check, like promissory notes, all these are identified as medium of payment. So in simple words, what is money? Medium of payment, which is recognized by RBI. Correct? Now what is very interesting is this, but shall not include. Now, we first said currency notes are money because they are legal tender. But now they are saying it will not include currency. Which currency? Which is held for its numismatic value. This is interesting. So, currency notes are money, but one type of currency is not money, which is held for its numismatic value. Now, the interesting question is, what is numismatic value? So numismatic value is, I'll give you a simple example. If you have some very old coin of 18th century, coin of 15th century, or some very old note, today, even though the coin is of 1 paise, people are ready to pay 10,000 rupees for that. This is what is a currency having a numismatic value. Means it is not having the real value, its value is very high. Why? Because of some special attribute, like it is very old, it is of some Chola dynasty. Second meaning of numismatic value is you have a currency note on which the number is 11111 or 1001, means the number printed on the note, or let us say it is a very special number which represents some special date, like it is 1508 1947. So it is 15th August 1947. This is the number printed on the currency. Now I'm sure you all would be knowing where currency notes have these unique numbers. Those currency notes, even if the currency note is 100, people are ready to pay 1 lakh for that. Because for them now that note is no more a currency. That note becomes something like a prestige point. People do not use that note for making payment. They will frame it and keep it somewhere. Such notes are called as, or such currency is called as having numismatic value. Correct? So numismatic means because of some number printed on the note, because of its date, because of that series, that note commands a special value. Such notes are called as having numismatic value, and then they are not treated as money. And importantly, the moment they are not treated as money, they become goods and they are liable for GST. So the first definition we studied is of goods. Goods means movable, but it excludes money and security, so we came to money. Now we come to the other definition, which is also excluded, that is of security. Now, the definition of security is simple. It says security means the same as assigned to it in Clause H of Section 2 of SCRA, that is Securities Regulation Act. And what it means, all these things, shares, debentures, bonds, mutual funds, all these are securities. So we all know what is a security. So all these things which you trade in the stock exchange, they are all securities and they are not goods. That is why whenever you are doing any share trading, you are doing any mutual fund purchase sale, you don't have to pay GST on the value of the shares or the mutual funds because it is considered as security, and security are treated neither as goods nor as services. Clear? So I come back to the point. So we are discussing our 7(1)(a) definition of supply. It requires four components. One, there should be some transaction. The transaction should be of goods or of service or of both. Now we come to the definition of service because the transaction should be either of goods or of service. Now, what is service? Very interestingly, service has been defined as, first part of the definition says anything or everything other than goods. Now, interestingly, what was goods? Movable property. So, immovable properties, which are not part of goods, will become part of service. So, service has been defined very vastly. Firstly, it has been defined in the Constitution also. Constitution definition is same. Service means anything other than goods. But here, it has been further expanded to mean that anything which is not goods. So all immovable properties will now come under the definition of service. All activities that we do, like right now I'm giving you a training or coaching, this is not goods. So this is service. So whatever is not goods is service. But interestingly, what it says, service means anything other than goods, money and security. So again, money and securities are also excluded. Why? Because it is continuing from this part. So other than goods, money, securities. So three things are excluded from the definition of service. And this is again beautifully explained here. So how our module is explaining, service means anything which is other than goods. So like any activity, and also it excludes money and security. So money and securities are neither goods nor service. That is why there is no GST on sale of money. There is no GST on sale of securities. But here comes the interesting part. Pay attention. It says, but service will include what? Activities relating to use of money. So money is not goods. Money is not service. But if you are giving your money to someone to use, like you are giving the money on loan, you are giving the money to use, then giving the money to use is a service. In short, giving loan is a service. Similarly, money is neither goods nor service, but if you are converting it from one form to another, from one denomination to another, from one currency to another, like how we do, we give dollars and we take rupees, or we give rupee notes and we take coins. So converting the money from one form to another, from one currency to another, is also a service. So money is not service, but giving money on for use, that is giving money on loan, is service. And second, exchanging the money from one form to another, from one currency to another, is also service. Similarly, securities is not goods, securities is not service, but whenever somebody is facilitating or arranging transaction in service, it will be included in service. So in short, share brokers, what they do, they arrange or they facilitate your security transactions. So whatever you want to do in securities, it is facilitated by the share brokers. So when share brokers help you purchase sell securities, their charges are liable to GST. So please understand, money and securities are neither goods nor service, but use of money, conversion of money is service. Second, the share broker's activity of helping you to buy or sell security is also service. Yes, Diksha. So when you give money to other for which they will be giving you interest, that is covered in GST. But let me inform you, later on you will study the exemption chapter where interest on loans advances have been exempted. But right now we are in the chapter of whether it is part of GST or not. Answer is yes, it is part of GST. Yes, Virendra has asked a very good question, sir. What about bitcoins? Let me tell you, Virendra, even the government is confused about bitcoins because bitcoins today are not yet recognized as a legal currency, right? Now, since it is not yet recognized as a legal currency, technically it does not forms part of money. And that is why it becomes goods. Satish, sir, we have to remember the whole point given in detail in parent book. Which point, beta? See, whatever I'm explaining, the concept of supply, the meaning of supply, schedule 3, schedule 1, all this you have to remember. May not be in the same language what the module has written. You can remember it in simple language, but you will have to remember because you have to write it in exams. Vedant, sir, like brokerage platform charge GST and brokerage. Yes. So brokerage is liable because it is arranging or facilitating the transaction of security. So I gave the same example, Vedant. Share brokers are liable to GST because what they are doing is they are facilitating, they are helping you to purchase sell securities. So on the value of shares, there is no GST. But whatever commission or brokerage these brokers will charge on that value of commission brokerage, there will be GST. Is this clear to all? Perfect, students? Okay. So this is all about 7.1a completely. Now there is one more definition relating to 7.1a, that is of business. Because whatever you do should be in the course or furtherance of business. So we need to understand the definition of business as well. This definition is very expanded, but it is expanded because they want to cover all types of businesses in that. So see, what is the definition of business? So it says business will include what all things. So first, our regular meaning of business is covered. So trading, service, manufacturing, profession, vocation, adventure, wagering, similar activities, all are business. So whatever we understand as business, everything is covered. Then something what is very interesting is any activity transaction which is incidental or ancillary to subclause 1. This is where our that old mobile example comes. So my business is not of selling mobile phones. My business is not of selling laptop, but I'm using the mobile phone in my business. I'm using the laptop in my business. So whenever I sell this laptop or mobile which is used in my business, that is incidental to my main business. So that is also covered in business. Third, activity or transaction, which is covered in A. A means what? Trade, commerce, etc. Whether or not there is volume, frequency, continuity. So what is clarified in C? C is a clarificatory point. So it is not necessary that you do it every day. It is not necessary only high volume transactions of trade will be business. If you do one-off transactions of trade, that is also business. If you do one-off transactions of commerce, that is also business. So it is not that it should be done daily. But if you do irregularly also, that will be business. Then comes D part. Supply or purchase of goods, including capital asset, when either in connection with commencement or closure. So I'll give you example. So many times when you are closing down the business, what you will do, you will sell off your assets. When you are starting the business, what you will do, you will purchase the assets. So even selling, purchasing goods like capital goods or your asset at the time of closure of business, that is also a business. Then from here, they start with some specific activities which are done by some specific persons and they call them as business. Now we have heard this word clubs and association. These are what? So in big cities, you have places called as clubs where people go for enjoyment, for entertainment. Similarly, we have recreational clubs in bigger cities and two-tier cities also. You have recreational clubs. What is recreational clubs? It is a big area where you have a swimming pool, you have a small play garden for your children, you have a place where people can go and play the pool, etc. So these are recreational places where people take membership. So when a club or association or society is formed, which is giving facility to its members, the activity of or of club society is also considered as a business. Now, interestingly, many times for entering a place, you have to purchase some entry pass. You have to purchase some entry ticket. Like you are going to watch a live concert of one of my favorite singers. Uh, Recently, some controversy of his retirement is going on. Arjit Singh. So you want to go and watch the live concert of Arjit Singh. Now, for that, there is an entry pass. So even where some entry pass is charged, that is for admission, you have to pay some amount. That is also considered as a service. Many times you go to places like some this planetarium, or you go to a place where there are rides. So at such times, on admission to such places, there is some consideration charged. This is also a business. Then services which are provided by person who is holding an office. So many times, as the holder of office, you give some services. Then activities which are done in the race clubs. So wherever you go to race club where people do betting. Now for doing betting, the race club will appoint a bookmaker who is given the license by the race club to do that booking. So giving license to bookmaker is also business. See, you may not understand few of these because you have not yet seen. You'll understand them when in articles you will actually see them happening. And last is all activities which are done by the government, whether central, state, or local, they are also business. So activities of government, even though they are doing it as public authorities, also when somebody's government is doing any activity, that is also business. Correct? So let me take your doubts. Yes, what is vocation? Good question, Vanshika. See, profession, vocation appears to be similar, but there is small difference. Now, what I'm doing is a profession. So I've taken proper education, training, and now I'm using my knowledge, my skill to earn money. That is profession. So where some knowledge skill is used, where a person is using his personal skills to do something, that is profession. Now, in this, there is an extended part which is vocation. What is that? When my profession also becomes my lifestyle, that is, I live in that particular manner which is suited to my profession. Like I'll tell you, all our Purohit, Panditji, and all these religious heads, what they are doing is a profession, but their entire lifestyle is designed around their profession. Means you will see a Panditji following certain rituals, getting up early, chanting mantras, having early morning bath, maybe even cold water bath, and then wearing a particular type of dress only, putting tilak or wearing different malas. So when their lifestyle, their everything, their clothing, their food habit, their day-to-day activities is aligned to their profession. So their profession and their lifestyle become same. We call it as vocation. Lohit, this is what is important. So your question is very good. See how closing the business a furtherance or continuance of business. That is where they have defined. See, understand one thing. We are law. Law always assume certain things. So in income tax also, income assumes so many things to be income which may not be actually income, but the law says we want to assume it to be income. Similarly, in business, even closing down activity is considered as part of business. That is what is important. Numismatic, I can't understand. But a numismatic means take your currency note. So you will be having a currency note. I'm not having right now around me, right? on the currency note, you have some number printed, which is the number of that currency note. See, I have this currency note. Now there is some number printed here. We call it as the number series of the note, correct? Now, if this number is 150847, which is our Independence Day date, then for people, this note will become very special because then people will be ready to, this is a 200 rupee note. I hope you can see, but people will be ready to pay me 10,000 rupees. Why? Because there is a special number on this. So many times on the notes, there are some special dates or numbers printed. And because of those numbers and dates, people are ready to pay more price. That is what is numismatic value, beta. Numismatic means number. I hope now it is clear. No, beta, Siddhant. Trading of shares is not liable to GST because shares is security. Security is neither goods nor service. So let us say you purchase or sell shares of rupees 10 lakhs. No GST on 10 lakhs. But for doing that, you have to go to a broker. Broker will charge you 500 rupees as the commission. 500 rupees is liable to GST. Vaishnavi, holder of an office means like we took that example of CNAG. CNAG is holder of an office. So such people who are given a position like collector. Collector is holder of an office. That is what is holder of an office. Sir, I did not mean by incidental supply. Incidental or ancillary means which is not main business, but which is part of the business. Like I gave example, my profession is chartered accountancy. I do consulting. I do training. This is my profession. For this, I use laptop. Now, purchasing, selling laptop is not my business. But since the laptop is used in my profession, tomorrow if I sell this laptop, it is incidental. इट इज लाइक वील से ना वो बिजनेस से रिलेटेड है क्योंकि बिजनेस में लगते रहता है तो आप बिजनेस के लिए कुछ करते हो तो इट इज इंसिडेंटल दैट इज व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ इंसिडेंटल वेगर बेटा मनीषा वेगरिंग हम सट्टा लगाते हैं ना सट्टा इज वेगरिंग यस वैष्णवी राइटली आंसर्ड वंशिका व्हाट इज सीरियल नंबर आई डिड नॉट गेट योर पॉइंट what is the question? Sushmita is saying it's a little confused on last point, an activity by government as public authority. Yes, that is what is important. Yes, very good question. It is also covered in negative list. Where it is covered in negative list? Every activity of government is covered? No. Only specific activities which is made compulsory by the constitution. Now, why this point is there? Please understand. Firstly, by putting this in the definition of business, all activities of government are firstly covered in business, right? Now, those activities which they are doing because of the functions given by constitution, that is outside GST. But if they are doing anything which is not given in the constitution and they are doing it, then that will be taxable. That is what is the effect. Aditi, I hope you understood. I just explained what is service as holder of office. Why, beta? Why ULIP is excluded from securities, Rashmi? ULIP is very much in securities. Where it is excluded? Samiran, you're right. Only in case of securities, only brokerage amount will be charged. Aditi, beta, I just explained what is holder of an office. A comptroller and an auditor general of India, that is a position. So holder of an office means you are holding a position and the position is like you are CNAG, like you are president of something, like you are head of a particular body. Like we say, na, this is chairman of your society. So chairman of your society becomes a holder of an office. Rashmi is saying in Companies Act, Acha, ULIP is excluded. I'll have to check. If ULIP is excluded from security definition of Companies Act, then but definitely it will be goods. Okay, students. So I hope you all have understood all these things. So we have completed entire 7.1a. Now we'll go to the special cases B, AA, C, etc. But after the break. So now let us take our 15 minutes break. And after the break, we come back and proceed with our pointers. Fine. Thank you. Nikunj, see, SEBI fees, what they will charge, GST is liable, but again, you'll have to check the exemption list. So right now, you cannot conclude whether GST will be payable or not. But yes, it is satisfying all the four conditions that you can say. No, beta. Government authorities, see, GSTN, if you see, the GSTN has financed by many private organizations also. Yes, Amit Ranjan, correct. Show the business definition in Barrett also. So I will take a screenshot. Okay, I will show it. Black Law Dictionary means, see, there are different dictionaries. In schools, we used to follow which dictionary. So see, dictionaries are also written. I think we were following Cambridge Dictionary, right? So when in school we were there, we were required to purchase those dictionaries, which were Oxford Dictionary or Cambridge Dictionary. These are universities. Now, similarly for law, there are specific school of laws which create their dictionary. So Black Law is one of such school of law. So if we sell intangible assets like goodwill, trademark, yes, even intangibles are goods, no? Bookmaker is the bookie, the person who takes your bets. That person is called as the bookmaker. In our day-to-day language, we call that person as bookie. So when you are putting a bet, you will see in different movie scenes or that somebody saying ekkadas, ekkadas, ekkadas. So the person who is doing that, who is taking your bets, is called as bookie or bookmaker. Satish, but I have not yet started 1A, na? So if you allow me, I'll complete 1A and then I'll go to 1AA. Correct, na, Satish? So somebody wanted the definition of business. See, this is the definition of business. So if you want, you can take a screenshot here. Or 1 second. Now you can take a screenshot. Correct? Done? Fine. So all this is one clause A. What it requires, that there should be some transaction. The transaction should be of goods or service. It should be for a consideration and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Now we saw all the definitions. Now we will go to the definition of consideration. Consideration you have already studied in your Contract Act. Here also there is a definition of consideration. Again, it is very beautifully, see, one is the theoretical form, but many times theoretical seems heavy. So our module has very beautifully given it in this diagrammatic form. So what is consideration? Firstly, consideration is the payment in money, which is against the supply. Or it may not be in money. So if it is not in money, you will take the monetary value of what is paid to you. Most important thing about consideration is it may be in money form or it may be not be in money form. But if it is not in money form, you take the fair market value to convert it into money form. Most important is it is against the supply. So whatever is received against your supply, since you have given supply, as a return for supply, something is given. That is what is consideration. Second most important aspect about consideration is it is not necessary that only the recipient may have given it. It may be given by any other person. So you may be receiving the goods or service, but your parents are paying. Or for you, some trust is paying because the trust has promised or given you a, let us say, a 4 years education promise that they will be taking care of your education. So you are availing the service, but payment is made by some trust. However, this other person will exclude where government is paying your money. So let us say there is some subsidy by central or state government. Let us say for your fees only, there is a subsidy and the subsidy is given by central state government. So that will not be included in consideration. But if it is any other trust or any other person who is paying for your studies, that is also part of consideration. So what is clarified in this point in the definition is It is not necessary that consideration should come from the person who is receiving the goods or service. It may come from anybody else. Next important point about consideration is deposits will not be considered as consideration. I repeat, deposits will not be considered as consideration, but they will be treated as consideration only when such deposits are applied. Now I'll explain you the meaning of this. See, I'll give you the most simple example. Many times when you take a property on rent, let us say the rent fixes 20,000. What does the landowner says? Okay, I'm ready to give my property on rent, but you'll have to give me 3 months deposit. Now this 3 months deposit, let us say, is equivalent to 60,000 rupees in our example. So what you do is you first give that 60,000 rupees, then you are given the property on rent, and then every month you pay the 20,000 rent. Now in this example, the 60,000 which you gave at the start, which is called as a deposit, it is not consideration. It is like a deposit. It is like a security amount, so that you are using the property properly. You are not misusing it. So what is clarified in this definition is that any amount which is given as a security deposit or a deposit is not treated as consideration. But let us say in future what happens? You stop paying the rent. Now what will the owner do? He will now start withdrawing money from your deposit towards the rent. So you did not pay rent of this month. Out of your 60,000 deposit, he will withdraw 20,000. So the moment he starts applying your deposit, that is withdrawing from the deposit for the consideration, in that case, it will become consideration. So when you give deposit, it is not a consideration. But after that, whenever he starts withdrawing from your deposit because you have stopped making payment of consideration, then whatever he withdraws from the deposit will be treated as consideration. No, but books, whatever example given in books are only for your understanding. It is not necessary that you have to learn those examples only. Correct? So students, these are the requirements for 7.1 clause A. There should be a transaction. It should be good service. It should be for some consideration, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Now we go to clause AA. Now, as I had said, clause AA is a specific condition. Okay. Arpita beta, I'll request the technical team. Technical team, please share the WhatsApp group link for LVC 26. Fine. You will get it, beta. Now, Dhanalakshmi is asking, sir, what is quid pro quo? See, the Latin term for consideration or to define consideration is quid pro quo. Quid pro quo in simple English means something in return. That is quid pro quo. So when, like here, what is consideration? I am giving you service, and in return for that service, you are making payment. That is what is something in return. So quid pro quo is the Latin term. Yes, Divya, very correct. Fine, beta Dhanlakshmi. So for anywhere, whenever you read consideration, to explain consideration, this Latin term will be used, right? Now we go to the second type of supply. Now remember students, from here, the supply which we are going to understand is a very specific or a very special supply. What do I mean by specific or special? This supply which we are now going to study in clause AA or B is applicable not in regular case, but only in specific cases. Now let me tell you the background of this AA. What does this AA deals with? You are part of some unregistered body. Again, example is a club. Now let us first understand what exactly we mean by club. Many times when we say club, people only think about the dance tech or the discotheque. It is not the only club. See, club is what? Club is a concept which means group of people coming together for some common activity. So if you see, many times you have some senior people making a group whereby every evening they will meet at a particular place and they will do their enjoyment by making by playing some games or by doing some religious chanting, etc. So this becomes a group which is called as a club. So similarly, there are different clubs. For example, every day morning I go for fitness, which is a fitness club, where all fitness enthusiasts they come together. We appoint a trainer. The trainer will come and take our training, and after that we will play a game. So this is what is a fitness club. So similarly, nowadays people have these marathon clubs, people have the cycling club. So club means where people come together for some common activity. Now, when the club is in the initial stage, it is having few number of members and there is not much money or not much financial point involved, people do not register it. But after that, once the club is growing, lot many people are joining, lot many activities are happening, then people register it. Now, what is this double A dealing with? This double A was brought because there was a dispute, or in fact, the dispute is still there in GST, but it was the case of Kolkata Club. Now, what is that Kolkata Club case? So again, like I explained you what are the different types of club. There is a club called as Kolkata Club, which is having multiple members. Now, what the club used to do, it used to ask the members to pay 1,000 rupees membership. I'm giving an example. The amount may be different. So it asks the members to pay 1,000 rupees. And why these members are paying 1,000 rupees? So that the club is providing them different facilities. Like every evening when these people used to come to the club, they will get facilities like carom boards, all pool tables. They will have some people over there to serve them foods and drinks. So for relaxation and enjoyment, people used to come to these clubs, and for that the club used to charge them a fixed amount, which was called as their, let us say, membership fees or the fees for getting all these facilities. Now there was a dispute that what this club is doing, is it leviable to GST? Now just recall the definition of business. In business also you'll find that one clause covers this, that whatever a club does to its members is business. Correct, no doubt. But only business is not sufficient. What is the big challenge? If the club is an unregistered body, I'm sure you all know by now, you all are student of commerce and law, that only when a body gets registration, then only the body gets the identity of a separate legal person, like a company, like a cooperative society. So we say that the company or a cooperative society is a separate legal entity, by which we mean it is different from its members. But until this group or this body takes a separate registration, until then, the members and the group is considered as one and the same. I'm sure you all know this also. Now comes the most important point. Can I do a supply to myself? This was the question which came under the Honorable Supreme Court, and later, firstly under the High Court and then Honorable Supreme Court. And in this judgment, the Honorable Supreme Court said that if a club, a body is unregistered, then the club and its members are one and the same, and hence whatever the club is charging to the members, it cannot be a supply, because you cannot make supply to yourself. This is where the whole scenario changed. Now, the moment this judgment came, it made all the clubs non-taxable. However, the council, the GST council, the government wanted to tax them. So to override that decision, they brought in this amendment. What does this amendment now says? The activity or transaction by a person. Now this person they are talking about is the club, because they are saying other than the individual. So they are talking about the group, that is a club, to its members or constituents for cash or deferred payment or other valuable consideration. Now what they are trying to say, that whenever a club will give any facility to its members for some consideration, which may be cash or any way, it will be a supply. Now what is very important is this explanation part. What does this explanation says? For the purpose of this clause, it is hereby clarified that notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time in force or any judgment, decree or order of court. So they are saying we will not look at any of this. By writing notwithstanding, what they have done, they have made themselves superior to all this. What they are saying, the main part, the person, who is this person, the club, and its members shall be deemed to be two separate persons. So as I explained, mainly the decision which came, which is even applicable today, says what? That whenever you are unregistered, you and your members are one and the same person. And if you are one and the same person, there cannot be a supply, because for supply there has to be two distinct persons. To overcome that judgment, they made this amendment in supply definition saying that whatever now a club will do for its members, it will be a supply. And further in the explanation, they said that this amendment is superior to all the judgments. And by this amendment, we are assuming that this club and its members are two distinct persons. So by making this assumption, they have overridden the effect of that judgment, and because of this, the clubs have now become taxable. So whatever club will collect from its members as the fees, they are liable for GST. Is this fine? Yes, Manisha, exactly. So we are talking about the kitty party clubs and all. Exactly. So now the kitty party clubs will also be covered in this. So whatever the kitty party club is collecting from its members, unfortunately, it is now part of GST. Diksha is saying, sir, this is what link? Telegram group link? We want WhatsApp group link. So the reply to you, Diksha, is that we are only using Telegram channel for all official communications. We are not using WhatsApp group for security reasons. So Veda, you will have to join this group only for all the updates. Yes, Lohit. So now all clubs are covered, whether kitty party clubs, whether your society clubs, like how you are asking whether it will include clubs of your apartment building, 100%, all clubs are covered here. All clubs are covered. Whatever is the form of the club, like I said, senior persons club or your society club, all are covered here. Now coming to clause B. What is clause B saying? In case of importation of service. Now what it is trying to do, we had 4 conditions in clause A. One is there should be transaction, it should be of good service, it should be for a consideration, and it should be in the course of business. Now what this clause B does, it says that in case of importation of service, the condition of business is not relevant. Means what? If you are importing service from outside India and that service is imported even if it is done for your personal use, it will still be liable to GST. So what is the point? That wherever you are importing service and that import of service is for your non-business purpose, it has no relation with business, still it will be leviable to GST. So what they have done over here is they have made importation of service liable to GST without satisfying the 4th condition. So for import of service, only 3 conditions are required. Import, which is a transaction, out of good service, it is a service, and it should be for a consideration sufficient. Even if it is done for business or if it is done for personal use, in both cases, import of service will be taxable. This is what is the impact. Vedant is asking, so like club registration or non-registration is non-matter. Correct. That is what is the point. So now whether your club registers or it remains unregistered, because of this amendment, it will come under GST. Yes, Aditi. So club membership has come under GST. Now the only difference is if your club is small and its annual collection is below 20 lakhs, you will study in registration chapter below 20 lakhs. There is no compulsion to pay GST. So if your club is small, your annual membership fee collection is below 20 lakhs, you need not register. Right? Now coming to clause C. Now what has clause C done? Again, out of our 4 consideration, clause C has removed the 3rd condition. So now what does clause C says? You are doing some transaction, yes. The transaction is of goods or service, yes. And it is done in the course of business, yes. Now the most important point clause C has done is it is saying that even if it is without consideration, that is even if this transaction is done free, still it will be liable to GST. Now, since clause C is removing one condition, it is very strict. It is applicable only to those transactions which you will read in Schedule 1. So again, there is another schedule, there is another list in Schedule 1. Schedule 1 transactions are called as deemed supply. And why they are called as deemed supply? Because here you will be liable to GST even without there being consideration. In short, free transactions will be liable to GST, but not all, because for all transactions the four conditions apply in which one of the conditions is consideration. Here, only the transactions whose name is given in Schedule 1, only those transactions will be leviable to GST. Again, I have some light issue. 1 second. Outage. Yes. So clause C is saying only for the list of activities given in Schedule 1, not all. So we'll be studying Schedule 1. So whatever is covered in Schedule 1, only those activity, even if done without consideration, will be leviable to GST. Right? Let me take your question. So, sir, membership fees is taxable? Yes. So, what import fees we are giving is taxable? So, you import any service, beta. If it is for personal use, if it is for business use, in both cases, it is taxable. Virashri, import of service only means service coming from outside country to our country. अंजलि जैन सर, कैन यू प्लीज एक्सप्लेन क्लॉज डबल ए इन हिंदी? बेटा, हिंदी में क्लॉज डबल ए केवल ये कहता है कि अगर आप किसी भी क्लब में मेंबर हो, आप और क्लब ये दोनों एक ही माने जाते हैं इन द आइज ऑफ लॉ, मगर जीएसटी को उस पर टैक्स लगाना है तो जीएसटी ने क्लॉज डबल ए डाल के ये अज्यूम कर लिया, ये डीम कर लिया कि आप और आपका क्लब ये दो अलग अलग पर्सन हो। इसीलिए अब जब आपका क्लब आपको कोई भी फीस चार्ज करेगा, जीएसटी लॉ अज्यूम करता है कि वो सप्लाई है बिकॉज दे आर सेपरेट पर्सन्स। सतीश कुमार सर, आई हैव वन क्वेश्चन। वेयर लिन गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर, LIN, अच्छा there is some typo, where LIN government sector office is using supply or service from other sector, does it impact GST? I'm not getting the meaning of the word LIN, but what I understand is where government office is using supply or service from other sectors, does it impact? See, government is made at par with all others. So what all others do liable to GST, same thing will apply to government. However, when we come to exemption chapter, you will find that where government is doing some specific activity for the benefit of people, which is for infrastructure development or which is for any of those functions which is given in constitution, over there they have given exemption to government. But that is our fourth chapter. For the time being, if I have to answer your question that whether anything done by government offices or sector is affected by GST, answer is yes, because government is included in person, government activities are included in business. Yes, some are put in Schedule 3, some are put in exemption, but they are the one where government is acting as a public authority and it is doing a function which is entrusted by constitution. Aditi sir, please give one example for clause C. But a clause C we are yet to study. I just gave example that when you receive something free. So let us say I'm giving you simplest example. You all have joined our LVC. Are you paying any fees for this? Is BOS charging you any fees? No, correct? Now BOS is not charging you any fees. Now in this particular case, will you cover in A? No, because A requires 4 conditions. 3 are satisfied. You are receiving a service, so there is a transaction. Transaction is of education, service, and there is in the course of business. But what is missing is consideration. So it is not falling in A. Now, it may fall in C. Why I'm using the word C? Because C does not cover all transactions. It covers only those transactions whose name is given in Schedule 1, which we will discuss in the next class. So if your transaction, if your activity is falling in Schedule 1 list, then even if it is done free, like how you are getting this LVC coaching free. So if this transaction is covered in Schedule 1, then GST will apply, but it is not covered, hence GST will not apply. I hope by now you understood this bit, Aditi. Manisha, so registered or unregistered, still it will be liable to GST. Yes. So clubs, because of this double A, whether they are registered or unregistered, they are covered under GST. Liable to GST or not, beta, that depends on two things. One is whether they cross 20 lakhs. Second, if there is any exemption. Sridhar, what you are asking is having an exemption. But again, we are only talking about taxability. So whether the maintenance collected by your society is covered in GST, first answer is yes. Your society may be unregistered, but because of clause AA, society collecting from its members monthly maintenance charges is covered under GST. Answer is yes. But are you required to pay GST? Answer is no. Why? Because when we'll study the exemption chapter, you will find that for such society maintenance, they have kept an exemption up to 7,500. So if you are collecting maintenance up to 7,500, then it will be exempt. But yes, it is very much covered under GST because of 71AA. Is this clear, students? So from my side, whatever I wanted to cover today, we have done. Now for our next class, two schedules are left, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2. Right? You may read and come both schedules. It is fine. We will be discussing them in the next class. And in the next class, we'll complete our entire supply concept. But please remember, follow the steps. Step 1, is it fitting in negative list? No. Then only come to 7.1 and check the definition and different clauses of definition. If it fits in the definition, then only it is finally supply. So first, it should not fit in the negative list. Second, it should fit in the definition. When both are satisfied, it is a supply. Now go to step 3 to determine what type of supply. Should we call it a supply of goods or should we call it a supply of service? Understood all? All clear, everyone? Super. Super. Bhavani beta, in this paper, there is more of theory. There are practicals, but only 2 or 3 chapters have practicals like input tax credit valuation. They are the major practical chapters. Baki everything is theory. Theory and case studies. Fine. Excellent. Very good. See, the more we discuss, more we interact, more your concepts will be clear. Fine. So that is why attending classes live is very important. Okay? Chalo then. Thank you very much. Let us meet again in the next class with more knowledge points. And please read the whole topic. Thank you. Good night. Ashok ji, we can conclude. Thank you very much, Ashok ji. Good night to you. Good night, Ashok. Bye bye.